Did you know that most people who reach 65 today are dying from completely preventable causes that could have been avoided with simple daily habits? I'm Dr. Vasconcelos, and after 30 years treating elderly patients, I've discovered something shocking that the medical community doesn't want you to know. What I'm about to reveal in the next 40 minutes could literally add 10 to 15 years to your life, but only if you stay until the end, because the most important revelation comes in the final minutes. Right now, as you're watching this video, your body might already be showing the first signs of what I call the silent epidemic that's killing people at 65. The statistics are terrifying. 70% of deaths in people over 65 are caused by conditions that begin developing 20 to 30 years earlier, completely unnoticed. But here's what's truly frightening. These conditions are so subtle that even doctors often miss them during routine checkups. The human body starts preparing for death decades before we actually die. And most people have no idea this process has already begun. Your cells are aging faster than they should, your organs are slowly failing, and your immune system is weakening day by day. The tragedy is that everything I'm about to show you could have been prevented with knowledge that's been available for decades. If you're over 50, or if you love someone who is, you need to hear what's coming next. The first sign most people notice is actually the last warning your body will give you. By then, it's often too late, but not for you, not if you understand what's really happening inside your body right now. What I'm about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about aging and death. The medical establishment has been hiding these truths because they're more profitable when you're sick than when you're healthy. But I've seen too many unnecessary deaths to stay silent any longer. And if you think you're too young to worry about this, think again. The process I'm about to describe starts in your 40s, sometimes even earlier. The first killer that's claiming lives at 65 is something called chronic inflammation, but not the kind you can feel or see. This is systemic inflammation that's been silently destroying your body for decades, and it's the root cause of almost every major disease that kills elderly people. Here's what happens. Your immune system, which should protect you, becomes confused and starts attacking your own healthy cells. This creates a constant state of internal warfare that weakens every organ in your body. The inflammation begins in your gut, where 70% of your immune system lives. When you eat processed foods, sugar, and refined carbohydrates, you're feeding harmful bacteria that release toxins into your bloodstream. These toxins trigger your immune system to produce inflammatory compounds called cytokines, which are supposed to fight infections, but instead end up damaging your arteries, brain, liver, and joints. The worst part? This process is completely painless in the beginning. You might feel a little tired, maybe some joint stiffness, but nothing that seems serious. Meanwhile, your arteries are slowly hardening, your brain is shrinking, and your organs are losing their ability to function properly. The C-reactive protein levels in your blood, a marker of inflammation, are skyrocketing, but most doctors only check this during emergencies. By the time inflammation becomes noticeable, it's already caused irreversible damage. But here's what almost no one knows. You can measure inflammation at home using simple tests, and you can reverse it completely with specific foods and supplements. The foods that cause inflammation aren't just obviously unhealthy ones. Some foods considered healthy are actually inflammatory time bombs, and the supplements that truly work aren't the expensive ones advertised on TV. If you want to know which foods are secretly killing you and which supplements actually work, keep watching because I'll reveal the complete list later. But first, you need to understand the second killer that's working alongside inflammation to end lives at 65. The second silent killer is insulin resistance, and it's probably already affecting you even if your blood sugar levels appear normal. This is the precursor to type 2 diabetes, but it's killing people years before they're ever diagnosed with diabetes. Here's the shocking truth. You can have normal blood sugar levels and still be insulin resistant. Your cells are slowly losing their ability to respond to insulin, which means sugar stays in your bloodstream longer than it should, causing damage to every organ in your body. The process starts when you eat too many carbohydrates, and your pancreas has to produce more and more insulin to keep your blood sugar normal. Over time, your cells become resistant to insulin's effects, like a person who becomes deaf to a sound they hear constantly. Your pancreas keeps producing more insulin, but your cells ignore it. This leads to a cascade of problems that directly cause death at 65. First, high insulin levels trigger fat storage around your organs, especially your liver and heart. This visceral fat produces inflammatory compounds that accelerate aging and increase your risk of heart disease, cancer, and dementia. Second, insulin resistance affects your brain's ability to use glucose for energy, leading to brain fog, memory problems, and eventually Alzheimer's disease. Third, chronic high insulin levels damage your blood vessels, leading to high blood pressure, stroke, and kidney disease. The most terrifying part is that standard blood tests don't detect insulin resistance until it's very advanced. Your doctor checks your fasting blood sugar, but that's like checking the water level in a bathtub without looking at how fast the faucet is running. You need to know your fasting insulin levels, your hemoglobin, A1C, and something called HOMA-IR, which measures insulin resistance directly. But here's what's truly shocking. You can reverse insulin resistance completely in just 30 days with the right approach. The key isn't just avoiding sugar, it's understanding which foods cause the biggest insulin spikes and when to eat them. And there's a specific type of exercise that reverses insulin resistance faster than any medication. But there's something even more dangerous than inflammation and insulin resistance working together to kill people at 65. The third killer is mitochondrial dysfunction, and this is where things get really serious. Your mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. They produce the energy that keeps you alive. As you age, these microscopic engines start failing, and when they do, every organ in your body begins to shut down. This is the real reason why people lose energy, develop chronic diseases, and die prematurely. Here's what happens. Your mitochondria are constantly under attack from free radicals, which are unstable molecules produced by normal cellular processes. When you're young, your body produces enough antioxidants to neutralize these free radicals. But as you age, especially after 50, your antioxidant production decreases while free radical production increases. This creates oxidative stress that damages your mitochondria's DNA, making them less efficient at producing energy. The result is a slow decline in cellular energy production that affects every aspect of your health. Your heart muscle becomes weaker because it can't produce enough energy to pump blood effectively. Your brain cells start dying because they can't maintain the energy needed for proper function. Your liver becomes less efficient at detoxifying your body, and your kidneys struggle to filter waste products. The most visible sign of mitochondrial dysfunction is fatigue, but by the time you feel tired all the time, you've already lost a significant percentage of your mitochondrial function. The good news is that your mitochondria can regenerate, but only if you give them the right nutrients and stimuli. There are specific compounds that can restore mitochondrial function, and there are particular types of exercise that force your body to create new mitochondria. But here's what's truly frightening. Certain common medications actually poison your mitochondria, accelerating the aging process and increasing your risk of death. Statins, certain antibiotics, and even some blood pressure medications can damage mitochondrial function. If you're taking any of these medications, you need to know how to protect your mitochondria while still treating your conditions. And there's a simple test you can do at home to measure your mitochondrial function. But the fourth killer is even more insidious because it affects your brain directly. The fourth silent killer is chronic stress and elevated cortisol levels, and this might be the most dangerous of all, because it accelerates every other aging process in your body. When you're constantly stressed, your adrenal glands produce cortisol, which is supposed to help you handle emergencies. But in modern life, we're in a constant state of low-level stress that keeps cortisol elevated all the time. This chronic cortisol elevation is literally killing people at 65 by destroying their immune systems, disrupting their sleep, and accelerating brain aging. Here's the science. Cortisol suppresses your immune system, making you more susceptible to infections, cancer, and autoimmune diseases. It also interferes with your body's ability to repair DNA damage, which means your cells age faster and become more likely to become cancerous. Chronic cortisol elevation shrinks your hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory and learning, which is why chronic stress is directly linked to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. But the most immediate danger is how cortisol affects your cardiovascular system. It increases blood pressure, promotes the formation of arterial plaques, and makes your blood more likely to clot. This combination dramatically increases your risk of heart attack and stroke. The problem is that most people don't realize they're chronically stressed because they've adapted to living in a constant state of fight or flight. You might think you're handling stress well, but your body is producing cortisol around the clock, slowly poisoning your organs. The signs are subtle: difficulty falling asleep, waking up tired, craving sugar and caffeine, getting sick frequently, and feeling anxious or irritable for no apparent reason. But here's what's truly shocking. The biggest sources of chronic stress aren't what you think they are. Yes, work and relationships cause stress, but there are hidden stressors that are probably affecting you right now. Poor sleep quality, blood sugar fluctuations, chronic pain, and even certain nutritional deficiencies can keep your cortisol levels elevated. The solution isn't just meditation and yoga, though those help. You need to address the root causes of chronic stress, including some that your doctor has probably never mentioned. And there's a specific hormone that can counteract cortisol's effects, but your body stops producing enough of it as you age. Before I tell you what that hormone is, you need to understand the fifth killer that's working with all the others to end lives at 65. The fifth killer is something called senescent cells, and this is where the science gets really fascinating and terrifying. As you age, some of your cells stop dividing but don't die like they're supposed to. Instead, they become senescent, essentially zombie cells that hang around in your body, releasing inflammatory compounds and toxic substances that damage nearby healthy cells. These senescent cells accumulate throughout your body as you age, creating pockets of inflammation and dysfunction that eventually lead to organ failure and death. Here's what makes this so dangerous. Senescent cells are contagious. When they release their toxic compounds, they can cause nearby healthy cells to become senescent too, creating a cascade effect that accelerates aging throughout your body. This is why aging seems to accelerate after 65. You've reached a tipping point where senescent cells are spreading faster than your body can clear them out. The accumulation of senescent cells is directly linked to every major age-related disease: arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and dementia. But here's the breakthrough that's changing everything. Scientists have discovered compounds called senolytics that can selectively eliminate senescent cells without harming healthy ones. These compounds essentially give your body a fresh start by clearing out the cellular garbage that's been accumulating for decades. The most powerful senolytics are actually found in common foods and supplements, but you need to know exactly which ones to use and how to take them. Some of the most effective senolytics include quercetin, fisetin, and a compound found in certain types of tea, but timing is crucial. Taking these compounds randomly won't work. You need to follow a specific protocol that maximizes their effectiveness while minimizing side effects. The research is so promising that some scientists believe senolytic therapy could extend human lifespan by decades. But there's something even more immediate you need to know. Certain lifestyle factors dramatically increase the production of senescent cells, while others help your body eliminate them naturally. Exercise, fasting, and specific dietary compounds can all help clear senescent cells, but there's one activity that's particularly effective that most people never think about. And there's a simple way to measure how many senescent cells you have in your body using a blood test that most doctors don't know about. But the sixth killer is probably affecting you right now as you watch this video. The sixth killer is poor sleep quality. And this is where everything starts to come together, because sleep is when your body repairs itself from all the damage I've been describing. When you don't get deep restorative sleep, your body can't clear out the inflammatory compounds, can't repair DNA damage, can't produce growth hormone, and can't eliminate senescent cells. This creates a vicious cycle where poor sleep accelerates aging, which makes sleep quality even worse. Here's what happens during healthy sleep. Your brain activates its glymphatic system, which is like a washing machine for your brain cells. This system clears out toxic proteins, including the amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. Your body also produces growth hormone during deep sleep, which is essential for repairing damaged tissues and maintaining muscle mass. Additionally, your immune system becomes more active during sleep, hunting down and destroying cancer cells and pathogens. But as you age, your sleep architecture changes in ways that prevent these critical repair processes from happening. You spend less time in deep sleep and more time in light sleep, which means your body doesn't get the restoration it needs. The result is accelerated aging and increased risk of every major disease. The tragedy is that most people accept poor sleep as a normal part of aging, but it's actually a treatable condition that's directly causing premature death. The problem isn't just insomnia, it's poor sleep quality even when you think you're sleeping well. You might be getting 8 hours of sleep, but only 30 minutes of deep sleep, which isn't enough to trigger the repair processes your body needs. Sleep apnea, which affects over half of people over 65, is a major contributor to poor sleep quality and is directly linked to heart disease, stroke, and dementia. But even without sleep apnea, there are dozens of factors that can destroy sleep quality. Room temperature, light exposure, meal timing, caffeine consumption, and even the type of mattress you sleep on. The solution isn't just sleeping pills, which actually make sleep quality worse by suppressing deep sleep. You need to address the root causes of poor sleep and optimize your sleep environment and habits. There are specific supplements that can improve sleep quality naturally, and there are particular techniques that can help you fall asleep faster and stay in deep sleep longer. But here's what's truly shocking. There's one common habit that most people do every evening that completely destroys their sleep quality for the entire night. And there's a specific type of light therapy that can reset your circadian rhythm and improve sleep quality within days. But the seventh killer is something that connects all the others together. The seventh killer is nutritional deficiencies, and this is the foundation that everything else is built on. Despite having access to more food than any generation in history, most people over 65 are severely deficient in the nutrients their bodies need to function properly. These deficiencies don't just make you tired or weak. They directly accelerate aging and increase your risk of death from all the conditions I've been describing. Here's what's happening. Modern food production has stripped most nutrients from our food supply. Fruits and vegetables today contain 30 to 50% fewer vitamins and minerals than they did 50 years ago. Processed foods make up 70% of the average diet, and these foods are not only nutrient poor, but actually deplete your body's nutrient stores. Add to this the fact that absorption decreases with age, and you have a recipe for widespread nutritional deficiency. The most critical deficiencies that directly cause death at 65 are vitamin D, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin B12, and something called NAD+. Vitamin D deficiency affects over 80% of elderly people and is directly linked to increased risk of cancer, heart disease, and autoimmune diseases. Magnesium deficiency affects nearly everyone over 65 and is essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those that produce energy and repair DNA. Omega-3 deficiency leads to chronic inflammation and brain deterioration. Vitamin B12 deficiency causes neurological damage that's often mistaken for normal aging, and NAD+ deficiency is directly responsible for mitochondrial dysfunction and accelerated aging. But here's what's truly shocking. Standard blood tests don't detect these deficiencies until they're severe. You can have normal blood levels of these nutrients and still be functionally deficient at the cellular level. This is why people can follow all their doctor's advice, take their medications, and still decline rapidly after 65. The solution isn't just taking random supplements. Most supplements are poorly absorbed, and many are actually harmful. You need to know which forms of nutrients your body can actually use, how much to take and when to take them for maximum absorption. There are specific nutrient combinations that work synergistically to reverse aging, and there are particular delivery methods that bypass absorption problems. But there's one nutrient that's so critical for longevity that deficiency in this single compound can override all your other healthy habits. And there's a simple test you can do at home to measure your levels of the most important nutrients. But the eighth killer is something that ties everything together and might be the most important thing you'll learn today. The eighth and final killer is something I call metabolic inflexibility. And this is the master key that unlocks everything else I've been telling you. Your body is designed to switch between different fuel sources, glucose from carbohydrates and ketones from fats, depending on what's available. This metabolic flexibility is what allowed our ancestors to survive famines and thrive in different environments. But modern life has locked most people into a state of metabolic inflexibility, where they can only burn glucose efficiently. This creates a cascade of problems that directly leads to death at 65. When you're metabolically inflexible, your body becomes dependent on constant glucose supply, which means you need to eat every few hours to maintain energy levels. This constant eating keeps insulin levels elevated, promotes inflammation, and prevents your body from entering the repair states that only happen during fasting. Your mitochondria become lazy because they only have to process one type of fuel, and your cells lose their ability to generate ketones, which are actually a more efficient fuel source than glucose. The result is decreased energy production, increased oxidative stress, and accelerated aging. But here's what's truly remarkable. Restoring metabolic flexibility can reverse many of the aging processes I've described. When your body can efficiently switch between fuel sources, it becomes more resilient to stress, more efficient at producing energy, and better at repairing cellular damage. The key is teaching your body to use ketones again through specific dietary strategies and intermittent fasting protocols. But this isn't about extreme diets or dangerous fasting. It's about gentle, sustainable approaches that gradually restore your metabolic flexibility. There are specific foods that promote metabolic flexibility, and there are particular timing strategies that maximize the benefits while minimizing any discomfort. The most effective approach combines targeted nutrition, strategic fasting, and specific types of exercise that force your body to adapt and become more flexible. But here's what I haven't told you yet. There's a simple blood test that can measure your metabolic flexibility, and there's a specific breathing technique that can actually switch your body into fat-burning mode within minutes. The combination of everything I've shared today, addressing inflammation, insulin resistance, mitochondrial dysfunction, chronic stress, senescent cells, poor sleep, nutritional deficiencies, and metabolic inflexibility, can literally add decades to your life. But there's one more thing that makes the difference between those who successfully reverse aging and those who don't. And that's something I'll reveal in next week's video that could be the most important health information you'll ever hear.